Hello my friends and welcome to Paulina Art. Today I'm going to be giving a painting demonstration step by step on how I painted this still life autumn Halloween inspired with these pretty pumpkins. I'm using my new set of Mont Marte acrylic paint. I have purchased this set several times now and I have done many reviews on my channel. You can check it out. But I'm going to be doing an updated review and I'm going to link it up here somewhere. But I thought I'd get this painting out since it's the season for autumn and pumpkins, and I wanted to create a fun still life with these colorful pumpkins. Now I'm using the Mont Marte acrylic paint, but you can use any acrylic paint you have at home in similar colors. I'm also using a reference photo that I'm going to link below and on the description box as well. The reference photo is just to get an idea, because as you will see, it looks nothing like the reference photo. I like to do my own painting very painterly and not the painting of a photo. The colors I use today are titanium white, lemon yellow, orange, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, burnt amber, cerulean blue, purple, and sap green. If you would like to see how I created these fun paintings, this still life with pumpkins, stay with me and let's paint together. Today I'm working on a 9 by 12 canvas. This is a refurbished canvas. I had a painting, a study, and I just painted over with some gesso. So this is the reference photo. I believe it's from Pixabay. I'm going to link the reference photo on the comment below this video and on the description box below this video. But this is just to give me an idea on how I'm going to do the painting. So I have the light coming from here. This is the shadow part. And there's one big pumpkin. This one has 4 and 3. But I'm just going to keep it simple, have 2 here and maybe 3 on this side. All right. I'm going to be using this brown taupey chalk to do the drawing. And I'm going to do a line dividing the canvas in 2, and another line here, a horizontal one dividing the canvas in 2 this way. So basically I have 4 quadrants of similar size. Now I do this helps me to do the drawing. Also this way you can follow what I'm doing. On the long run, having a sketch saves me time. I can make corrections to my drawing before I start painting. Okay, so the horizon line is probably going to be about 1/3 going down here. This is where the pumpkins are going to be sitting. On the reference photo, I have the big pumpkins sitting right on the middle. That's because this is a square photo. But I want mine more on this side, so I have room for these 3 ones down here. So I'm going to start doing the top of the pumpkin around the middle of this section, so at around there. And I'm going to draw a big oval like this, which is going to be larger this way than this way. Okay. And here's going to be the stem, like that. And I'm also going to draw the sections. This just helps me construct the painting a little bit more. Okay, so the big pumpkin is there. I'm going to do a smaller one on this side. The pumpkins are like, they're not real circles, they're more oval. Like a small orange, like this one. If you don't have a pumpkin, you can grab a small orange like this to give you an idea. I'm going to do the center here. I'm marking where the center of the pumpkin is. And this one is going to just go up like this. And again, I'm going to do a few lines, sections of the pumpkin. And there's going to be another one here. This one is a little bit more rounder because we don't want them all identical. Okay, so we have the big pumpkin right in here, more to the left of the canvas. Then I have two pumpkins, two smaller ones on this quadrant. And I'm going to add 3 in here. I'm going to do a bigger one in here. Like that. This one is going to be behind this one. Okay, and a smaller one here. This is going to be more of an oval one. And I'm going to add a small one in here. You can add as many pumpkins as you want, if you want less or more. This is just to demonstrate how I do it. Here is the drawing. In this quadrant, I have 3 pumpkins. Then there's my big one that is not right on the center, but slightly to the left, and 2 other pumpkins here. With a dry brush, I'm going to remove some of these lines. This is the same process I use to sketch everything, really. If you watch my videos, you're going to know this is what I like to do. It is a very easy process, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the painting process for me. This gives me a clear idea of the drawing. I'm going to use this brush to do the underpainting. This brush is a flat brush, and I think this will work great for the underpainting and maybe for the whole painting. So I have this dark brown. This is the color Burnt Amber on the set that I'm working with. You can use any dark brown you have at home or gray. Basically what I'm doing is going over the drawing. This is going to help my drawing to stay even after I start adding the layers of paint. It's going to guide me. Okay. So I'm going to try to make my underpainting really work for me and help me when I'm doing this painting. This is the purpose of my underpainting. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. This pumpkin looks a little bit funny, but that's okay. All right, let's move here. We're going to do these 3 pumpkins here. And this is going to be a painterly painting. I'm only using the reference photo as a reference, and I don't want to copy it like a photo. I don't want to do a painting of a photo. I want to do my own painting. A painterly composition, but the reference photo helps me with proportions and with shadows and light. Now I'm moving this one a little bit forward, as you can see, because when you do a still life, which this is a still life painting, it's it makes it more interesting if there's staggered in different places instead of all of them aligned. And this painting, I want to make it very colorful because basically it's just pumpkins, so we have to make it somewhat interesting. Okay, so the light is going to be coming this way, so that means the shadows are this way. So I'm going to add some shadows in here. I'm going to add everything I can to help me later on. There's shadows in here. And here too. And I'm dry brushing. I don't have a lot of water on my brush right now. This starts shaping, giving some shape to the pumpkins already. Just adding shadows. You can see the volume of the pumpkin. They're sitting somewhere. They're not just floating on the canvas. Then we can define a little bit the horizon line if we want to. Now I'm adding shadows here at the bottom of the pumpkin because they're closer to the ground. Okay, my friends, so this is the underpainting is done. I'm going to allow this to dry for a couple of minutes. And with a dry brush, I basically just remove the chalk that was left behind. Okay, so I have a damp sponge here, and I'm going to use this to block the colors. So here are all the colors from the set. This is the burnt amber, the dark brown that I use to do the underpainting. And I'm going to mix a gray blue using the blue, this blue color that the set has. It's a cerulean blue. And I'm going to add a little bit of the purple, like that. And maybe a small amount of the dark brown. Now this is just to block the colors. All this can change. And I'm going to pick up some paint with the damp sponge. I'm going to apply this color very loosely. And I can do the sides of the canvas at this time. Why not? I always try to save time. It's okay if some of the blue goes on top of the pumpkins. All right, I'm going to pick up the white on the sponge and mix it in here. Just want a lighter version. Now I'm going to put it in here. I want a little bit of a lighter color in here, and maybe a little bit lighter around here. Maybe again some of the dark. I'm just playing with the colors. And I'm picking up the light. This is more white than anything else around here. This doesn't have to be perfect. Picking up more of the purple color, just to give some variation on the background. Okay, so we have the background covered. Then I'm going to rinse the sponge. Continue with the pumpkins. I'm going to pick up now some of this yellow ochre. I'm going to add it at the bottom. Just a very light layer of color. This might change. It depends how I like it with the pumpkins. Again, I can do the sides, the bottom. And I'm going to paint this one with the yellow. Now I'm just gonna put some yellow. Okay, see how the blue came in there? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up a damp Q-tip and just remove it very easily like this. And from this ones, wherever the blue went, I can easily remove it with a Q-tip. We're going to add lots of colors to these pumpkins later, even blue probably. Okay, so I mix some of the orange with the yellow, and I'm going to, too much orange. And I'm going to paint this one. And this one at the back can be a dark orange. I'm just using the straight orange without the yellow. All right, that's looking pretty. And now I have some blue. This is the cerulean blue. I'm going to paint this one with blue. Okay, and I have green. I picked up the green color, and maybe this one can be green. And maybe this one will be green too. Like I said, this is what I'm choosing. You can choose the colors that you want. I'm going to pick up the same brush that I use for the underpainting, and I pick up the purple color, and I'm going to do the stem with the purple. Just because this is a nice dark color, I think it's going to make the stems really pop. And I'm going to do the same for the other pumpkins. And as you can see, when I do the stem, I go at about that place and open up like this. So that's how the stems look on a pumpkin. They kind of opens up a little bit on the different sections. Okay, so this is looking good. Before I start adding the first layers of paint, I'm going to pick up a damp Q-tip, and I'm going to remove some of this paint to show where the light is coming. This is really going to help me when I'm applying the first layers of paint. And because I had primed this canvas with a a color of light just so I can easily remove the paint, and it brings me the light from underneath. Since the light is coming from here, I can add some highlights in this area too. The pumpkin is already starting to look with 3D. I'm going to remove some from the stem too. Some of the light is hitting the stem as well. So I can do this like that. I'm going to do the same with the smaller ones. And because I just applied the paint, it's coming off easily. If you let this dry for a day or so, it's not going to come out so easily probably. But these painting demonstrations, I like to do them in one sitting. What you see me doing is what I'm doing. And I like to get things done quickly if I can. Okay, so here I'm guessing where the wedges are because the light is coming from here, so I'm going to add some light to the top and sides. The little stems too, this really helps. And this one. And you don't have to remove a lot, just enough to show to the eye where is my light coming. And you can always correct this, but all this is going to save me time on the painting process, and I like that. And finally this one here. Some of the orange is coming, but it's okay. It's all good. Okay, so we removed some of the paint. Now I'm going to remove some of the paint here. The reference photo had almost like a smoky feel up here. And I'm going to add it. Kind of give it more of a Halloween-y effect, I guess. More moody with some smoke up here. All right. Okay, my friends, we are ready to start applying more paint. We're ready to start applying the first layer of paint. I'm going to pick up some of the green, this nice sap green, and some white. Make it a little bit lighter. And maybe I'll add some of the cerulean blue. I'm going to start adding some of this color in here. It's just going to be kind of like a spotty pumpkin a little bit. I think that's going to look pretty and fun and interesting. And I'm going all the way to the bottom. I'm going to have to add more shadows in here, but we're just applying our first layers of paint. Some of the green in here with purple, creating a dark green, a very dark green. I'm going to use this for the stems, and maybe for this to create the effect of the wedges. And this is, I'm wiggling the brush a little bit just to make the pumpkin more fun, actually, instead of just straight. Okay, I'm going to add some at the bottom here to give the pumpkin more depth. This is my shadow side, so I can go darker if I want to. And I can make its body. So it's a bit of the shadow from this pumpkin. Pick up some of the yellow. This is a bright light yellow, lemon yellow. And I'm going to add some on the light side of the pumpkin. This is where I remove the paint. I can add some of this yellow. Because I remove the paint, I know where the highlight has to go. And I can put some of the yellow up here too. At this point, I'm just playing with the colors. I have an idea of what I want, but I'm not 100%, which is a fun thing about painting. The painting will always surprise you, hopefully in a good way. I'm going to blend a little bit in here, between the pumpkin and the background, just so it's not super sharp. Some people like very, very sharp edges, but I think it's nice if they are not overly sharp. Okay, let's do this green one. And for the green one, I'm going to make it a little bit darker than the other one. So I'm going to use green and maybe this blue, like a bluish green. Maybe with a little bit of white. I don't want it to be exactly like this one. Maybe we'll put more blue. Let's see. And I'm going to add white to the mixture. Pretty color. And I'm going to add some in here. I don't want this to be so sharp. I'm just going to dab a little bit of yellow to brighten up this pumpkin a little bit, so he's not hiding in the dark. And with the same green purpley, I'm going to go down in here and wiggle it, make it like an edge that is not perfectly straight. And with a little bit of yellow and yellow ochre, I'm going to tap this at the highlight in here. And I can add some of that in here too. Okay, so since this is my first layer, basically what I want to do is apply a layer on all the pumpkins. Some orange with yellow. Create a lighter. This orange is very, very strong, so I'm just mixing a small part of it with the yellow for this guy back here. And I have yellow. I'm going to put some yellow on the top. Because the paint is wet, it blends nicely right away. And I have some green. Some of the sap green, I'm going to add some in it too. On the sides here. And some of the yellow ochre at the top here. All right, I'm mixing here cerulean blue with some of green and white. It's more of a greeny bluey this time. And I'm going to use it for this one at the front. See how I like this. Okay, and I have a little bit of white here on the brush just to add the highlight. You can definitely add highlights as you go along, because this is what starts shaping your painting. At the end you put the final highlights, of course, but this starts really shaping your painting. Okay, I have some purple in here. I'm going to try using the purple on this one. Just to go over the wedges of the pumpkin, like that. And a little bit at the bottom here. Some shadows. Shadow and light is what gonna make your painting look good. Of course, color is important too. Okay, and since I'm doing the purple, why don't we add some shadows here with the purple? I think the shadows will look really great with this nice rich purple because of all the oranges and yellows. The purple is going to look very nice. And we can add some on the sides here. This is where the big one is, and I'm going to bring it up too, just to add more depth to these pumpkins. And in here as well, I'm going to go with this nice purple color for the shadows. See how this adds already so much dimension to the painting. Just adding some shadows. Make sure the shadow doesn't go all the way under, otherwise it's going to look like the pumpkins are floating. Just kind of onto the center. Okay, let's do this guy. I'm mixing yellow ochre with the lemon yellow, having this nice color. Let's see if we like this color. And I think I like it. And I pick up a little bit of white. I haven't rinsed the brush, so there's some of the yellow in there, just to give the pumpkins some proportion. And I have green, the green color. And I'm going to add some dots in here too. This is not only going to add color, but also some dimension. Okay, I have yellow ochre. I'm going to do this guy here. So I haven't done that one. And this one. That one. Okay, and we have this little one to go. And I'm going to make it lighter than this one, but kind of like a bluish color, just because he's so small, otherwise it's gonna get lost. There's more light hitting on this one. I'm gonna add white to show him at the top here, and I have the cerulean blue just by itself, and I'm going to add it at the bottom here. And I have purple. With the purple I'm going to do the separations here. And as you see, as I paint, I can make corrections too. If I need to, I will make them. Now there's a little bit of blue in the brush from that pumpkin, and actually I think it looks really beautiful on the shadows. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. How do you like my process, and if you are learning anything. I like to know so I can keep making painting demonstrations for you. Okay, so we have color on all the pumpkins. I'm going to add some color in here, and for that I'm going to use yellow ochre and white. So I want a very light yellow ochre, and I'm going to add it in here because this will give more depth, definitely more depth to the painting. It's going to make the pumpkins really stand out. You can clean up the shadows a little bit if you want to, but like I said, I want this to be a very painterly composition. Don't worry if things are not perfect at this time, because this is only the first layer of paint. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight in here to separate these two pumpkins. By separating the shadows, you can see there's distance between them. And I have here some white with cerulean blue. I'm just going to add some of this smoky idea that the reference photo had. Okay, so the first layer of paint is done. I'm going to let this dry for a couple of minutes and we're going to move on. Okay, everything is dry. I'm going to start doing the second layer of paint. And for the second layer of paint, I'm going to start just like I started the drawing and the blocking of the colors and the first layer of paint, which is from the back forward. So I'm going to work a bit on the background. Now I'm going to move to a larger brush for the background. This is the one I was using before, and this is the one I'm going to be using now. And for my second layer of paint, I have fresh water. If you paint with muddy water, you're going to end up having muddy colors. You don't want that. I'm working with the same colors, the same palette. So I'm picking up blue, cerulean blue and purple. And I'm going to add a little bit of this brown, this burnt umber. Not a lot, but some. I added a little bit more of the brown to make it darker. Just some abstract-y colors like this. And this is going to be the light side, but to make it pop more, I'm going to add some of this dark in here. With a damp Q-tip, I'm going to remove the blue from the yellow side of the pumpkin. I want to keep that very bright yellow. And basically I'm doing a bit of an abstract background just to make this painting a little bit more fun, because a painting just with a whole bunch of pumpkins can be not too exciting. Okay, I'm going to add white to the mixture. I'm just adding some white. See, it's kind of like a grayish blue. I like it. This is going to be the dark side where the shadows are, but interestingly enough, we're going to make this lighter. So that's going to make the dark side really pop really beautifully. I'm just playing with those three colors. I'm going to start on this pumpkin again, and again I'm going to move to the smaller brush I was working with. And basically, my second layer, I want to reinforce the colors I had. So I have here the green with the purple for the stem, and I'm going to emphasize the wedges, some shadows in here, from this pumpkin, and some shadow from the stem. From the stem too can go some in there like that. Have yellow with a little bit of white, and I'm going to add more highlights in here. I have some of the orange. I have some purple. The purple really adds interest to this composition. I mean, it's very colorful, but at the same time, I feel it works together really well. Okay, I have here some yellow ochre with white. So basically a very light version of the yellow ochre. And I'm going to do the stem here. Just dabbing, creating the effect of the stem. Let's move to this one. I'm going to use the green with white. Let's see if this works. Yeah. I'm going to add it a little bit more white just to add the highlights. And just the dark green from the bottom. I'm going to add some yellow, warm it up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of orange. This orange is very, very intense, so we have to apply with caution. And again, I have the yellow ochre with white. To do the stem. And I have yellow with white, and I might add some highlights in here. Let's do the blue, cerulean blue with white. So basically I'm working from back to front every time I start a new layer. With every layer I'm tidying up and fixing and adding shadows and light. Even though I don't want this, I want this painting to be very painterly, not overly work or perfect in any way. I added a little bit of purple to the mixture just to add the shadow part here. I think this looks very, very pretty like this. Let's see. Okay, and some of the shadow underneath here. To give the pumpkin some highlights. And with the purple and green, I'm going to do the stem again. A bit of a shadow there, shadow here from the stem, shadow here. Okay, I'm doing this one too now, why not? Okay, and let's add the highlight here, the stem. Basically the same process for every single one of them, since they're all pumpkins, except I'm using different colors to make this painting a little bit more fun, more interesting. Basically, I'm going to go over every single pumpkin, and I'm going to pick up the yellow, just the yellow, and brighten up this guy. So he really pops. I haven't used the burnt sienna or the red. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the red, but let's go with the burnt sienna and add this at the bottom of this guy. So I think this goes really well with this guy. I'm going to add more yellow here just to blend it better, and maybe a little bit of orange. And now I have green, and I'm going to do this again. Okay, maybe I can add some dots in here too. At this point I want to emphasize shadows as well. Basically, on my second layer of paint, I'm tidying up all my loose ends that I left, that I might have left. Let's do this one because this one is behind, and I'm going to use a light layer of orange to brighten him up, like that. Some of the yellow and white to give him highlights. And we're going to finish this one. Okay, and let's add some in here. And I added some purple to this color, just to do the shadow part like this. Okay, and I'm using just the purple to do the wedges, the separations here like that. The shadow, a little bit more yellow. See, happy little pumpkins. Or yellow in there too. Can add some yellow in here, why not? Warm it up a bit. Gonna warm them up a little bit with yellow. All right. Okay, now I'm going to lighten up the bottom, and this is the yellow ochre with white, just a very light version of the yellow ochre, and I can do some in here, make the pumpkins really stand out by adding some light in this area. Okay, my friends, the second layer is done. The first and second layers are done, so I want to add the final details. And for this, I'm using a fine liner brush, a detail brush. And basically at this point, I just want to add more highlight, a little bit more interest. I don't have to do too much at this point. The less I do, the better, and the more subtle. So what I'm going to do, I have the light yellow ochre here, which is white with yellow ochre. And I'm going to basically add more highlights. Maybe more highlights than more shadow. Just some final details like this that can make the painting, the pumpkins really kind of pop. So that's for that one. Basically, I'm going to go over all the pumpkins and make these stems look pretty. This one too. And I have yellow and white here, very pale yellow, and I can add some final highlights like this. Just to some of them, not everywhere, every single wedge, no. Just a little bit, just blending a little bit. No one is so edgy. Okay, my friends, my camera is running low on battery, so I'm gonna shut it down for a minute. Okay, my friends, so here is the final painting of the pumpkins. I hope you enjoyed this painting demonstration. I hope you learned something new. If you like this video, you know what to do. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.